A couple of Marvel stories are making the rounds after being revealed on podcasts recently. Firstly, actor Coleman Domingo verified that he did have conversations with Marvel's executives, though only after rumors of him playing Kang the Conqueror were circulating. Domingo emphasized that he wants a role that will allow him to build something from the ground up, and that Kang rumors were never a conversation from his point of view. On the comic side, Deadpool co-creator Rob Liefeld left some comments on the floor of the Robservations podcast about feeling slighted during the Deadpool and Wolverine creative process, and that Marvel boss Kevin Feige ignored him on the red carpet. Liefeld also said that Marvel has a history of not treating comics creators well, specifically name-dropping Feige. Rumors and chat to chew on. What will we spit out?
Yeah, so you got two different things here, right? And the Colman Domingo thing, he was basically asked about it. He was like, hey, there's people saying that you would make a great Kang the Conqueror. It talks about you've been going over to Marvel and talking about that. Like, what's going on there? And so I'm totally with him. I mean, I think this idea of, wait, so you just want me to step into the role that somebody else has already built? Like, for someone of his level, and he's a star on the rise right now, it doesn't make a lot of sense for him to do that, doing the recast, stepping into a role that's been established by someone else. You will eternally be compared to that person, and whether or not you did a better job or a worse job, and people will always do that. Like, for the time that you play that role in every film, they will look back and say, are you better than Jonathan Majors or not at this thing? And for him, that just does not make sense. Like, if you are Coleman Domingo, he's got kind of the world open to him right now. He could probably walk into Marvel Studios, and it sounds like this is what's been happening, and basically say, like, what do you got for me? Let me see all the possible roles, and I'll pick and choose what I want to do. So to choose what would have been a big role, but again, a recast role, just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I envision that we will see Colman Domingo in the MCU at some point. He already voices Norman Osborn in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I think, like, if he called Marvel and said, you want to put me in Spider-Man 4 as Norman Osborn, like, they'd be like, let's find a way to do it, you know? Or if he said, I want to be this one-off villain, kind of like a la Christian Bale in Thor Love and Thunder, let's do it. Like, I think he'll just have the opportunity to do what he wants to do. And so I think this is dead on as to what he should be doing. Like, I think if he took the role of Kang the Conqueror and we were sitting here talking about it, I think we'd say, okay, it's cool, but yeah, I think we'd be having that conversation about, like, okay, well, how do you pivot from Jonathan Majors? Like, what do we do now about this? Like, it's just a lot of noise that has to come with that role. And so for Marvel to say, all right, well, let's go to Doctor Doom, let's just kind of hit reset. I mean, it just makes sense from a universe standpoint as you're trying to move this thing forward and not have to juggle all of that material and try to figure out how to make it work. And then for Liefeld, I mean, you know, who knows at the end of the day? I mean, he did basically, if you don't know who Rob Liefield is, he is the creator of Deadpool and Cable.
That's right.
Yes, but yeah. So if you ask him, he's the creator. But
I know.
But yeah, but he
needs to be corrected.
yeah, he has announced before this that he would step away from writing comics just because he's getting older and it's not really in his wheelhouse anymore. Plus, he's got all the money. I mean, he has co-creative rights with Deadpool in all of the films. Any Deadpool on screen from here on out, Rob Liefeld's getting money from it. Like, it's just the way the whole thing is structured for him. So he's not really writing comics anymore, but now he's come out and said, well, actually, also, too, I will not work with Marvel anymore. Like, if they want my input on anything, I don't know if they were calling in the first place, but it seems like not. But if they want to have me around for anything, I will not be in their corner at all. And I think it is interesting. I mean, from his allegations, so this seems like super gossipy and petty that I'm talking about this. But from his allegations, what he says happened is that he never really got the creative credits in the movie. Like, his name was just like buried where it should have been front and center. That he was brought to certain events but not others, and that when he was brought to this world premiere, that they basically put him in the corner and just ignored him, and they would like walk by him and not pay him attention, and that when they would take photos of him with like the creative team and Ryan Reynolds, that they just deleted all the photos, that they like never put him up anywhere, that they just kind of like hit delete as soon as he walked away, I guess. And then the big thing that he seems really pissed off about is that they did not invite him to the after party. So they had a big after party, which is customary after a red carpet event, and did not invite him or his family. So again, at the end of the day, it's drama, and it's like drama's always going to have two sides, and there's always going to be, and Feige will never comment on this, by the way. And so yeah, three sides, I guess. The truth too is in there. But yeah, it's again, it's like, does it matter for the future of Deadpool? No. Like, Disney owns all of the rights for Deadpool. They can make a Deadpool movie anytime they want. They bought those rights exclusively. But it is an interesting thing when the co-creator of the thing is not on board. You know, it's like, it just raises.
You don't just say it like it's fake.
Thing.
It's real that he's the co-creator.
I had to just catch myself up. But yeah, it just, interesting behind the scenes stuff going on with Marvel as always. But some good, some bad, I guess. At the end of the day,
it screams, I would like some attention. And Liefeld has a history of saying things that make him sound this way. So this isn't the first time he's done something like this. This isn't the first time he said, I'm walking away from Marvel. There's a history there. And, I'm not trying to be biased about this, but we know that the Deadpool movies are Ryan Reynolds' baby, and he exerts extreme creative control over those films. We know that. Sure. That is a fact. And so even though he's dropping Feige's name in some of this, I'm kind of like, how much of this is really Kevin Feige? Because to hear I listened to the commentary of the movie, and to hear it, it's like, Feige had like thumbs up, thumbs down on stuff. It wasn't like he was there with his fingers in the pie. This was a Ryan Reynolds, Sean Levy thing. So, I'm just like, who really didn't invite you? Who really, whatever. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like, grow up, whatever. Have your own after party. Do whatever you want. But that's kind of how I feel about the Liefeld. It just doesn't. Now, if you want to talk about equity for comics creators in general, I think that has been an issue. I think it probably still is an issue. That could probably be something that could be improved, I'm sure. I know that if you work for Marvel or DC, you probably sign something that says, when you do this, we own it. And so there's that, right. But is that something that could be made better? I'm sure that is true. And so there's that aspect to it as well. So to turn to something positive, I love Colman Domingo. I think he's a fabulous, very versatile actor, and I really do want him in the MCU. And when we talked about the Kang rumors, like, he could have done it. I have complete faith that he would have been a fabulous Kang. But I totally respect and love his decision to want to own a role, and I want to see him do that as well. Yeah.
The thing that interests me most about that is I think, based on what they're saying here, this must have happened before they really made the Doom decision, because it seems to me they came to him after the rumors of him being Kang were out there, and then he says, it was never really a conversation from my side. So it sounds to me like they came to him wanting him to do that, or at least to have that conversation.
I think they asked.
Sure.
I think they asked him for sure.
Yeah, and so that's just interesting to know about, like, that time of chaos when they didn't know what they were going to do. That was a legitimate option for them before they ended up doing what they're doing with Doom. And they still may recast Kang. We still may see someone else step into the role sooner than later. But I hope not. I kind of hope they just leave it alone for a while, bring it back when the comparison isn't so recent. They don't really need him right now, and he's a character that can always come back in different forms. But as for Coleman Domingo, just do the Osborn thing. Come on, we need a good Osborn in this universe, and he's already doing it on the cartoon, and it just makes sense to me. He'd be a really cool Norman Osborn.
I don't want to pat myself on the back too hard, but I encourage any listeners, if you're able to go back and sleuth and find my comments when this was a lightning round subject. I want to say that my take was almost verbatim what Coleman ended up saying. Would he be a fantastic King? Absolutely, but it's exactly what you were saying, Jay. He's just got too much potential. He's too high caliber of an actor to step into somebody else's shoes. He should be given a character to create from the ground up as his own there. So I love the Norman Osborn stuff. I did have the slight thought that like we know that the X-Men are on the way, right? And for a long time, I know like people were talking about what if we had Denzel and Giancarlo Esposito as our Magneto and our Professor X. I did have the thought, I was like, ooh, Coleman Domingo, I could kind of see as a Professor X if they wanted to go that route. Now, unfortunately, I think that's far less likely these days with it, Disney kind of seemingly bending the knee to some of these pushbacks against DEI, but that's a conversation for another podcast. So the Liefeld stuff I do think was covered pretty thoroughly, so I'll be pretty succinct here, but it did bring to mind some comments from Ed Brubaker. I believe he was on Kevin Smith's podcast where they were talking about Winter Soldier. And Haley, you and I talked offline about this. Yes, these writers are kind of like hired guns. They signed a contract. They know what they're signing up for. Do they own these characters? No, they don't. They're working for a company. So it's not a question of, or a debate of like, what is legally right, but it is a little bit of a question of what is morally right. And inviting somebody to an after party, inviting somebody to a red carpet event, just like making their name a little bigger seems like small concessions to me when these people have like, given so much to you. Yeah, they got paid for it, but in a lot of cases, they created the defining story arcs for some of these characters, specifically Ed Brubaker. Now, Rob Liefeld, I'm kind of with you, Haley. Like, reportedly, he's been a little bit of a diva and a pain in the ass. So it's kind of like, you get what you get. If you behave a certain way, people aren't going to want to keep inviting you back. But from an optics and image perspective, it seems like it would be just a lot easier just to say, hey, come to the after party, do your thing, and then we don't have to deal with, this public smear campaign. Or I guess it is well-founded in some instances, but it's drama, right?
Drama llama.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't blame someone for wanting to be in the room or whatever, be in the room where it happens, but like it's at a different level when you're in these Hollywood rooms. They have different kinds of concerns than comic book writers have, and they have just a whole different business model. And I don't know. It's interesting to like how much you'd want a comic book creator to have control over a movie. Or have like more input into a movie. I think like in some ways it can be very valuable, but you always have to put it through that filter of like, but it isn't a comic book. It's a movie. It's for a different audience. It's for a different, I don't know. It's just an interesting conversation. You just watched a clip from Multiverse News. If you liked it, go to our channel. We got a whole episode that it comes from. So go check that out and hit the like and subscribe. And we got lots of clips you'll enjoy, but also full hour-long episodes of Multiverse News with lots of things that don't even make it to clips. So check us out.
You stay clippy.